Why am I not in the full screen?
Hey everybody, I'm doing the intro apparently today because Heather said just a second ago you do the intro today. So I'm not as good as she is, but you'll just have to do it because we're talking about Thanksgiving. So be thankful that we can still I don't know. I'd say thankful we can still cruise, but you know what? I'd rather cruise for real. So anyhow, a year ago we did our first Thanksgiving cruise. It was something that we talked about a while, but it hadn't really ever done it because we kind of been scared there'd be too many kids and there are too many families and that kind of stuff. And as a couple who doesn't dislike kids but doesn't have our own kids, we were a little bit scared off by that. But we found out that it was actually a pretty good experience. We were on Norwegian Sky. Uh, it was actually one of the first cruises in a while that we've actually paid for, as opposed to being a press trip. So that was kind of nice too. But anyhow, before we go into that, I wanted to just do a quick update, a quick shout out. First thing I'm going to give a shout out to is it is so wonderful that we're starting to get non cancellation type posts from and pitches from Norwegian. They've actually got this Choir of Man, which is on the NCL Encore and NCL Escape, I believe. They're doing a little promo thing, which actually debuts tonight in 5 hours, 26 minutes, and 52 seconds. Choir of Man is a really cool show that they have on the ships, and that's at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and I guess it'll be 9 p.m. Eastern. And definitely encourage you guys to tune in. I really don't know what to expect, but it's a docu series that should be some fun singing and dancing and all that kind of stuff. So I love it when we have good news to share about cruising. But just to temper that, despite the fact that the CDC no sail order has been lifted, Carnival has announced that they've suspended cruising as they prepare for complying with the CDC order, at least through February 28th, I believe it is, for most of the ships. Although they still hope to get the stuff out of Florida and possibly Galveston up before then. As somebody who was booked on Carnival Miracle March 16, I sure hope that we're able to sail because I would love nothing more than to be able to safely walk down the street out of my apartment and walk onto a cruise ship. And even if I have to quarantine myself in the balcony and not see anybody, it would sure be nice to spend some time at sea. So, with that being said, now is a great time for buying cruises because the deals are still cheap. And I guarantee you, as soon as the CDC starts clearing stuff, prices are going to start going up. But be safe, be responsible, and the light is certainly at the end of the tunnel with two vaccines on the um, pending approval list. So I can't wait for a Alaska cruise season at very least. We should be hopefully everything back up and going by the middle of next year. So with that being said, let's talk about Thanksgiving. I'm going to pass it over to Heather, and she can talk to you a little about some of the stuff that we went through as she was planning the trip, and take it away.
Hey everyone. Why James is super positive today about everything with cruising. I don't feel the same way right now, and it's okay not to feel that way. Um, just with everything going on, things keep getting delayed. I felt so positive. Was it last week or the other week? Things were starting to get back on track, and now with things being delayed and everybody starting to get the virus again because people aren't paying attention to what they're supposed to do in public, it's aggravating. And it's sad as a travel agent because we don't know when things are really going to get going again. I mean, there's a lot of people still booking land vacations, especially all inclusives in Mexico and such. But I don't even feel safe booking somebody on, to go do something like that because everything's just spreading. And it's just, I feel like right now is your time to hunker down and let's stop the spread. So I don't need to meander all over the place, but yeah, I'm just not. my happy chipper self today, and I'm trying to be because guess what? It's almost Thanksgiving and it's Christmas, and even though they're going to be different this year, it's still Christmas, and just try not to think about all the bad stuff going on. And with that, James and I are also um, doing something kind of special this year. This year, we have a website called The Kringle Life, and James is going to be Santa, and I'm his wife, Miss Holly, and we are doing virtual Santa visits, personalized, live, and we will do live group story times and sing-alongs. So if you want to find out more information about any of that, go to thekringlelife.com and you'll see all the bookings and everything else about it. And we plan on starting the day after Thanksgiving. So get booking. It'll be a good time. We're excited. Um, so that's one thing that's positive looking forward for me. And I hope that we can bring cheer to other people that are, sad that this year's not exactly what everybody wanted it to be for the holiday season. I want everybody, since we're not going to do a show next week, I want everybody to be safe. And, if you've got a big family and you really want to go, maybe you should rethink that and keep people safe and yourself safe. So, okay, I'll get off my little spiel with all of that. It's just sad because I keep hearing more and more people I know getting coronavirus. So that's why I went on my spiel. But last year, before we even knew anything about coronavirus, COVID-19, James and I were living our best lives. We had gone to the Cruise World show in early November, followed by, I believe, 4 or 5 nights in the Florida Keys, going to Key West. And then our last day, we stayed at Tavernier Key. And then we got on the first, well, it wasn't really the first sailing, but the inaugural sailing of the Norwegian Encore with the Kelly Clarkson concert, which was amazing. And then we had once we got off the ship, we actually had a day left where we stayed at, in between our cruises in South Beach, which was a great time. And then bright and early the next morning, we got on our Thanksgiving Day cruise, which was a 4-day to the Bahamas. Um, yeah, we went to Nassau and to
Great
Great.
stir. Okay, it was kind of a fun back to back because it was the same itinerary, two different ships, and what was even more interesting, I think, was the fact that it was two ships that were at each end of the spectrum because Encore was absolutely the newest ship because we were on the christening, but then Norwegian Sky was one of the oldest ships in the fleet, and so we had a great time on both, but it had just been redone. So I think one of the things that people talk about when they ask about Thanksgiving cruises, we're going to break down it into four different areas. One is families and kind of what to expect, both if you're not wanting to be on a ship full of kids, but then also I get a lot of questions because I do a lot of men's travel stuff. Football, football, football. Thanksgiving is synonymous with football, and people are saying, "Well, can I watch my favorite games on the ship or not? Where can I enjoy them?" Uh, Shopping, you would have to be blind or simply not an American, I guess, to not associate Thanksgiving with the start of shopping season. And then, most importantly, food. Lots and lots of food, and that's something that obviously cruise ships are always associated with. But Thanksgiving is even more of a foodie holiday. And frankly, I'll give I'll kind of jump to that one, but before jumping back to the beginning, I was kind of surprised that there wasn't more of a huge Thanksgiving celebration, kind of over the top with, people dressed up as turkeys and that kind of stuff. But that being said, the chefs and our waiter on the ship went over and beyond making us an awesome Thanksgiving. They had a Thanksgiving menu. I'm going to throw this. Oop. I just lost the picture. Well, I said, well, hey, no, I don't want just a regular turkey plate. Make it like a big Thanksgiving turkey plate. And the waiter had so much fun. I think he went a little overboard, to be honest. I think he like combined like three plates together, but it was kind of fun. So yes, you can get a turkey feast, and I think if you had the same thing, you could do just pile it up in the buffet. My gut tells me the buffets still aren't going to be something for 2021, but certainly you can have your Thanksgiving feast. So I don't know if Heather wants to
But
talk more.
also remember that Thanksgiving feast, what we consider and what we want on the side may look a little different on a cruise ship just because of the way they interpret it, which is fine. It's still good. It's just a little jazzed up, a little different, but very good. Um, and if you're going on a cruise because you just at Thanksgiving because you really don't want a big hoopla, it's so nice because no cooking, no, feeling like you have to have family over, any of that. It's relaxing. For all of the women out there or men who make a traditional Thanksgiving feast and have people over, this is amazing and you should. Oh yeah, and that's the stuffing right there. See, I'm partial to my stuffing, so I'm kind of I think everybody likes their own stuffing. But for all of you out there that are just overworked, next year, hopefully things will be better. And you should just book a cruise for Thanksgiving because it's easiest. Get all your family to go. You can all have a great time. Even if it's a 4-day cruise, you go to the Bahamas. You don't have to get off the ship in Nassau. You can get off the ship at Great Stirrup Cay and have a good time. We were there the week before and we did snorkeling. This time we sat on the beach and went in the water constantly. And the food at Great Stirrup Cay is amazing. They've got this taco stand, and their shrimp tacos are so good. The drinks are really good too. You've got great bartenders. Basically, everyone, all the servers that are on the ship with you, get off the ship before you and start setting everything up. So if there's 2 ships there that day, you have the staff of both ships doing different things. So your good bartenders that you like will be at different bars there. The only thing that I didn't quite like at Great Stirrup Cay was after you had a few drinks and you've been in the sun all day, and if you're at the faraway beach, you really don't want to walk all the way back through the sand. So if you know where to go, you can catch a tram in the back a little bit. You have to walk back by the bathrooms, and there's a tram that can take you back to the boat or the tender because, yeah, you don't. It's a little bit of a hike if you want to get out where we were sitting, right, James? Yeah, I thought he was going to chime in, but he just shook his head. So, but that was so much fun. Um, One of the things I like to do is watch karaoke too. And there was a lot of families on the ship because it's Thanksgiving. But it was really interesting because the families kind of just wanted to have fun. And the kids were better. I don't want to say, I like kids, I mean, but I think the families had more reign of their kids. I know everybody's seen kids go and, on their own and cause havoc, but it wasn't like that on there. It was very peaceful. Um, when we got on the ship, of course, I know I'm kind of going around, but we did some sales stuff. You can always get those good deals, they say in the beginning of the ship. But, but no, I just had a great time, and I would definitely do another Thanksgiving cruise if it means that I don't have to cook Thanksgiving. That's an A plus. Usually we go out anyway because For two people, since we're far away from our family, it's kind of a lot to do a Thanksgiving dinner. This year, because we can't go anywhere, um, we're doing a roasted, or James is going to do a rotisserie chicken in our air fryer. And then we've got some sides already. And I don't know if anybody's ever had it, but I also have the Aldi sweet potato casserole with praline that I heard is amazing. So I'll have to tell you more on that. But yeah, definitely Thanksgiving cruises are great. And if you're doing the 4 day, your 3 day or 4 day, it's of course not going to be as expensive as a 7 day, but it's if you're going to the Bahamas, it's going to be a little bit cheaper too. That route is always, um, a quick route. It's the quick and dirty, easy kind of cheaper route compared to maybe if you left out of Long Beach and went to Catalina and then Ensenada. So always remember that going to the Bahamas is always a little bit cheaper. You're not using as much fuel and um, yeah. Do you have anything to say on that, James?
Well, I was just looking up the prices for 2021, but I think certainly Heather has a lot of good points. That while it's not honestly not that much different than a typical cruise, it's a great excuse for Thanksgiving. And what I say by that is that there's certain holidays such as Halloween that we talked about a few weeks ago, where they really they go all out with costumes and special drinks and that kind of stuff. And certainly for Christmas, depending on how your cruise is structured, they may have the Christmas decorations up. I think on ours we debarked on Friday morning if I recall correctly. And so they didn't. It wasn't really Christmas yet, but I'm sure that the next cruise was probably going to be all decked out for Christmas because that's what people expect. It wasn't like that. I was kind of surprised that there wasn't more stuff, but at the same time, like Thanksgiving is really about being with the family and watching some football and drinking some beer and just having a good time, being thankful for life. Uh, so, with that being said, one of the things that I get questions a lot on when I talk about Thanksgiving cruises, or for that matter, Super Bowl cruises or cruises in the fall, is can I watch football? And thankfully, yes, the answer is for the most part, all the major cruise lines have live feeds for football. You're not going to be able to watch every single game, although certain ships do have sports bars where you're going to have a lot more variability. Depending on the ship, you may actually have the football game up on the big screen, which is kind of cool to sit there in a lounge chair or sit in a hot tub and watch football. But generally speaking, football will not be an issue if that's what you're into. However, to hedge your bets, if you will, ship most of the newer ships, thinking like Royal Caribbean, Ovation of the Seas, for instance, or even the Oasis class, all have really good internet. Norwegian's newest ships have really good internet. And so if football is a really, really important thing for you and you can't miss that game, buy the high-speed streaming package and just watch on your phone because that's probably your best bet. But that being said, hanging out at is it O'Shaughnessy's or what's the sports bar on Encore? Well, if anybody's watching, you can help me out with that. But they have a lot of different screens. I know there's the EA Sports Bar, I think, on Royal Caribbean. I'm getting my stuff messed up. I need to go back and do some research. I've been a year out of the ocean, and I'm already forgetting stuff. So that's something I need to fix. Uh,
That was our last cruise, everyone. That was the last cruise that we took before all of this shiznit went down.
and I also want to remind people because we were talking about Caribbean cruise out of Miami because well that's what we did and it was a cheap option. I think we only spent like $300 per person on it. Um, but certainly you can take Thanksgiving cruises out of other places. Uh, Carrie Turner Plumley did a cruise 2 years ago out of Miami to the Bahamas, and she loved it. But like Heather said, there's also cruises out of San Pedro and Long Beach out here on the West Coast. Uh, and probably all the southern Florida. I'm sure that Galveston has Thanksgiving cruises. New Orleans has Thanksgiving cruises. Probably not so much out of the cold weather ports, but let's shift things over to shopping because clearly shopping is one of the things that maybe indexes more female than male, but I enjoy shopping too. And Thanksgiving is a great time to start preparing for shopping gifts. So, Heather, you want to talk a little bit about that?
I was going to say Carrie, who I know is a good friend of mine, she probably loved the fact that she could go on the cruise and not have to cook and just relax. And if she wanted to have the kids go to the kids club, they could do that. So there's lots of choices, especially for busy mom and dads that want that relaxation time. And I know James was talking about um, watching football games. Well, honestly, lately I could care less about football games. I know some people in my family would be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're saying that," but honestly, nothing's really spiked my interest lately. So I don't even remember any of the football games going on because I didn't put myself in that. Well, I guess that was Friday we came back, so I wouldn't really have been in that situation. And on Thursday, I did things differently, so it wasn't a big deal. But back to shopping, as James was saying, you can shop online. Kids Club is great. Exactly. Um, we there is a lot of shopping you can do on the ship, whether it's jewelry, watches, some clothing, memorabilia, or if you even want to buy future cruise credits, and you can buy future cruise credit and transfer it over to your agent. Always remember that. So if you want to get a good deal and give it to somebody, they can transfer it over to their agent. Um, but all the shops had deals, and they really wanted you to know that they were having deals. So they set things up when you got on the ship for all the raffles, as they always do, but they were making them better. And then they were saying, okay, now we're going to do 50% off this day. It all depends on what you want. And when you go to ports like Nassau, if you want to find something you know, artisanal for somebody in your life, you can do that. Those are a great way to find things and, going to the straw market and stuff like that. Now, personally, I used to be a big shopper, but I'm not such a big shopper anymore. I find that going on a cruise ship, I take my memories. I like pictures. Um, but, hey, if you want to shop, you can shop. But like I said, that's not my main thing going on the cruise ship. Maybe um, for some people it is, but I think the Thanksgiving cruise is all about relaxation. From having to get up early in the morning if you have kids and um, getting them on the school bus or driving them to school or making dinner every night for you and your husband or whatever. It's all about relaxation and being thankful that you have your family. Oh, yeah, shopping on the ship has better deals than in the straw market or in the markets off the ship. Sometimes you can haggle in the straw market, but I haven't done that in years. But yeah, I don't know. It's all about the relaxation to me, James. The fact that you can appreciate and be thankful for the people in your lives by not having to serve them.
But at the same time, I enjoy the kind of the craziness of Black Friday and the stuff, and certainly this is the first time on Norwegian Sky, so clearly all ships really push retail stuff, but I felt like it was a little bit extra special for Black Friday, and in fact the deals weren't that much better, but it was kind of like Black Friday deals on this, Black Friday deals on that, throughout the entire cruise. So it was kind of a fun thing. So again, if you're really into shopping and you're really into kind of the pomp and circumstance and the frenzy of stuff, there were some good deals, and well, actually nothing's a good deal on a cruise ship, but there were some fun things like this black it was a Black Friday tour of the different shops, and every shop they gave something away and all that kind of stuff. So it was a fun experience. But clearly, I think you're right though that the main thing is to go here and be thankful, spend some time with your family, and just enjoy life.
Just in general, I think Black Friday, I used to love it. I used to love going out at waking up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and going out. My dad and I and James would come with us too from time to time. We would have a blast. But Black Friday has changed so much in the past 10 years. Now you have it on Thursday, Wednesday, and this year, because there can't be really a Black Friday and people rushing the stores, I mean, you already have specials now. So I don't know. It's sad because that was a tradition I did have, was finding the deals. And now I'm kind of done with that. That's just regular Black Friday. I mean, the cruise ships always have deals, but the biggest thing was, well, I think spending time with your family. And the other interesting part on the cruise ship was you have, since you have the families, you have a lot of teenagers or college students that say may not be 21 yet, but are, 19, 20, and they want to drink. So you can drink in the Caribbean, what is it, at 18? But on the cruise ship, you can drink, but you have to have a parent's permission. So your parent has to sign away, and you can only have beer and wine. So it was really interesting the second day on the ship when we were going to snorkel. There was a few kids that had had too much beer or wine the night before, and their parents are like, "So you still want to keep drinking?" And the kids were like, no. I think some of them mixed quite a few different things. And as James, who had to get some work done on the cruise ship, he saw some of them drinking, and they were drinking weird stuff. So that's one thing. It could be a good tester to see how your kid handles alcohol actually on the cruise ship and the responsibility of it, and to teach them right from wrong. But for us who don't have kids and we looked at them, it was kind of funny for us to laugh at them. But
Yeah, that was as I'm sitting there in the Starbucks trying to get some work done, and this I think it was two girls and two boys that different parties, but I think the girls had found the guys on the trip, and the guys were happy to be talking to some girls. They were clearly relatively new to drinking in public. And I think I think on Norwegian the rule is you can have wine and beer at 18. I don't think you can do cocktails, but and that's only with the parent's permission, and it has to be your parent or legal guardian. It can't just be that you're there with your 21-year-old sister, for instance. But it was kind of a fun thing. I again, I don't have kids, so I can't really speak as a dad, but I think it's a pretty awesome opportunity if you want to take your kids and say like, hey, you can have wine with us at dinner, and if you want to have a beer at the at the show later, you can do that. If you want to sit in the hot tub and enjoy a drink, be responsible. I think it's a great way because, frankly, I would rather have our kids experiment in that environment where there's always supervision. There's really not that much that can go wrong because there's always crew members who are gonna stop things before that happens. So I think it's a good opportunity. But again, I'm not encouraging anybody to do anything that's not right for their family. However, I do want to switch gears a little bit because I misspoke a little bit ago. I said that probably Thanksgiving cruises were more going to be out of warm weather ports, such as Florida, Galveston, New Orleans, San Pedro. San Pedro is Los Angeles for those of you who are not on the West Coast. But Norwegian, and again, we're not sponsored by Norwegian. I just freaking love the guys at Norwegian. They've been a great partner of ours for many years. But Norwegian has a ship, Norwegian Gem, out of New York next Thanksgiving, starting at $6.99 per person. And I would have to look at the exact details, but it says free at sea, get all free offers, which would be free open bar, Wi-Fi, specialty dining, free excursions. It says 2-for-1 deposits, and it says 30% off for all guests. I'm not sure if that means you can have more people in a cabin. I think if you were doing a family, certainly doing a balcony where you can put some extra kids in there on cots would be a really inexpensive way to have an amazing Thanksgiving experience. Considering if you were going to take everybody out to dinner, you're paying $100, $150 per person anyhow.
I can't really see that. Is that going to the Bahamas or is that going to Bermuda?
That is going. Bermuda would be amazing. Bermuda would be a lot more expensive. So that's it debarks from New York at 4 p.m. It's a I'd say a fun day at sea, but a fun day at sea is trademarked by Carnival, um, and it goes to Tuesday Orlando and beaches. So if you, and it's a 9 p.m. departure. Um, so you know that would be a really short day at Disney. But if you wanted to go to Disney, then you could certainly do a Disney trip. I would probably go to Port Canaveral and all that kind of stuff. Then you go to Miami, and then you go to Great Stirrup Cay. You have 2 sea days, and you end up back in New York. So being able to spend Thursday at Great Stirrup Cay, enjoying some cocktails on the beach, some shrimp tacos, and then get back on the ship, have an amazing turkey dinner, and some music and all that kind of stuff would just be an amazing trip. Now, if you consider the fact that New York is going to be in the 40s that time of year, and you can go out of town for under $1,000 per person for a week, all food and drinks, all that kind of stuff included. I tell you what, I'd be pretty damn thankful if I got on that ship.
Oh yeah, so you can get out of the mess of. Can you imagine what next year's going to be like for the Thanksgiving parade if everyone's got vaccines? It's going to be crazy in New York.
And Carrie, Heather already knows you. Obviously, you're a friend of ours, so she'll contact you about that cruise.
Yes, I will. That yeah, I just that's going to be crazy and that'll be nice for people to get away from all that craziness. Let's hope for a vaccine soon because I know I keep crossing my fingers. They say it's here, but I'm just stressed about it. I want all my people to go to Alaska this summer. I unfortunately think that James and I are not going to be doing our cruise in March from the West Coast. I'm thinking they're probably going to end up even pushing it back further. But anyway, no, we're talking about Thanksgiving again. I know I'm keep jumping around just because I have a lot on my mind with cruising. Being a travel agent advisor right now is um, kind of a little bit of insanity in some cases because you want to sell stuff, but you also don't want to sell stuff and have people get mad if something's canceled. Or, like I said, if you go to an all inclusive in Mexico and you end up catching something. So, like, I just want people to be safe. I have no problem right now booking, well, maybe not right now, but if you wanted to come to me a few weeks ago and book a land something in the US where you can space out, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But it looks like right now um, things are just getting more intense. And, I know everybody wants to travel. And I totally want people to travel because the travel industry is the largest industry in the world. And we have to keep going. So I ask everyone again, please do your job to try to stop the spread so we can get started again. It's a lot of people's livelihoods. And there's little towns like Skagway um, and Ketchikan that rely on their tourism. Also, Portsmouth, Maine depends on it, and a lot of other little towns. So please help stop the spread. Sorry, I'm going on my tangent. James will get back to you.
I feel like we're point and counterpoint, and my enthusiasm I think is tempered by the fact that I'm just in a good mood and the fact that I like to be optimistic. Heather is a great partner and a wonderful wife of mine that kind of balances out my exuberance and my irrationality sometimes, and I conversely balance out her irrationality. Well, you know what? My wife is never irrational. She's always right.
Irrationality. No, 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 no.
Uh,
It's okay to be depressed though from time to time. I think we need to let people know that you know it's okay right now if you are upset that a booking doesn't go through. I mean, just don't take it out on your travel advisor because their hands are tied. But it's okay to be upset about what's going on in the world with this, because it has changed our lives and will continue to change our lives forever, the way we think about things. And I wish I was happy go lucky today, but we put on an honest show too. And I'm just, I'm looking forward to cruising, and I want to really bad because I miss it. But it's sad when we look back now, and that's been a year since we've been on a cruise. Never irrational. Exactly. You can never say you're irrational. There's always a reason why there's something. But I mean, it's okay. People need to know that it's okay to be upset, or not upset. I'd say just not to be cheery all the time, and not to be, um, you know, it's okay. Just putting it that way. It's okay. We're going to get back to everything. Trust me. I know we are. Everybody's going to get back to it. And I am positive about that. But I am just a little bit down about things taking so long. And, I think everybody is. And, some people are more whatever about it than others. But yeah, I mean, James is the positive one today. And I'm I don't want to say negative one, just the kind of one. But yes, never irrational. Never say that.
Especially about your wife, even if she is being irrational. But anyhow,
Oh, no, no,
but,
no. Why? Okay, now we go back. Why am I being irrational?
I didn't say you're being irrational. I said even if your wife is being irrational. So,
Yes,
oh man.
but what is this irrational thing you're talking about?
So guys, Carrie has
Way to change the subject.
a great question that we're going to get to in just a second. But I want to just temper some of the stuff that I've said. Yes, I am optimistic. I am enthusiastic. I personally think that there is some great stuff that's just ahead of us. However, I don't. I want to make sure that my enthusiasm for the future of cruising, for the future of travel and tourism, is not misunderstood as being um, cavalier or careless. At this point, my view is we all know the risks. We all know how to prevent the spread. And it's up to us individually to decide if we are going to want to do things again that we all enjoy, or are we going to just throw things out the window and pretend like it doesn't happen. And that's why I'm optimistic that we can do what we need to do. However, there's certain actions, and this is not a masking show. This is not a COVID show. This is about Thanksgiving. But I really want to encourage people to, we know what to do, and if you don't do it, you're not going to be able to cruise. So let's all do the right thing. But that being said, if we don't do the right thing, this is going to be a issue, and it's already starting to be an issue. And with a couple different cruise lines, small cruise lines out of Europe, uh, what what if cruise lines file for bankruptcy? What happens to the bookings? Uh, I'm going to let Heather answer the bookings part of it, but my perspective, looking at the financials of the major cruise lines, um, the publicly held cruise lines such as Norwegian Holdings, Carnival Corporation, um, what am I missing? Um, Missing a third one. Oh, Royal Caribbean Company, Royal Caribbean Cruise, whatever their holding company. Those major lines, which account for like 99% of the cruise industry, will not go bankrupt. They have gotten massive credit lines. They have gotten massive infusions from private industry. I see zero fear at this point that they will have any kind of disastrous things. They've already accommodated for those economic issues by getting rid of their older cruise ships, by cutting down cruises for next year. Um, Unless something unforeseen happens that's major, I don't think that's going to be an issue. But what we saw with, was it Fred Olson, Heather, I think, that did go bankrupt. Um, was it Pullman Tour? One of the cruise lines in Europe I know went bankrupt. Um, and I'm not sure exactly what happened, but Heather, I'll let you talk more about what theoretically would happen to the bookings if that did happen.
That's a great question, Carrie. And A lot of people haven't talked about that as such. That's why I always recommend getting cruise insurance. Cruise insurance can save you from many different things. Uh, Let me give you an example. I have a client that's booked for Alaska. Well, she was booked for Alaska last year. She bought her um, hotel and her flight through different companies, not different travel agents, but she used Orbitz for one and then just went directly to whatever for her hotel. So she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to get her money back or credit from for her flight and for her hotel. Hotel's pretty easy because they have flexible um, cancellation policies. But for her flight, what do you do in that instance? Well, that's a good reason why you always have travel insurance in case something, especially with the flights, more than anything, something happens. So, what was really good was Orbitz actually, because of everything going on, they're being a stand up company and they are giving credits. So she was lucky. But if she wasn't lucky and they said, sorry, we can't do anything about it, or you have to go to the company itself and not through us, and it got more hectic, she had the travel insurance where she could get her money back. In the same way, if let's say you were on some very small ship, so you wanted to do an expensive ship in Bali, a little tiny ship, and and they went out of business. Well, I would expect that you first of all would have cruise insurance to do something like that in case of whatever instance, you know, weather conditions can't get you there or whatever. So always, always, always get insurance. And when I say that, there's a lot of your travel agent advisor will know who is a reputable insurance company. I don't necessarily use the cruise lines agencies or the cruise lines having them book. What they do is they'll say, okay, we'll give you $49. It's $49. We'll book you or we'll give you the insurance. Well, the insurance basically just covers the cruise and it's just not, it'll cover the flight if you book the flight through them. I believe. Don't hold me down to all that, but um, you're better protected if you get your own, not through the cruise company itself. So, and there's a lot of great companies, and I'll give you a quote. I have two people going on a cruise in Alaska, 7 day out of Seattle, including everything, their room, all that, the cost. I think it was $285 or $300, which you may be like, oh, well, that's a big chunk. But what's bigger, $300 or $1,500 because of flights? So you're saving yourself some money. Always cruise insurance because you need that protection, especially if you're going in a smaller cruise line. If you're in a big cruise line, there, as James said, you don't have any worries about any of that right now. But smaller cruise lines, definitely. Get cruise insurance. Insurance, insurance. Always have insurance. Okay, sorry.
It's a dance party. So while Heather was talking about the boring but perhaps most important aspect of cruising, I decided to go look at Royal Caribbean and Celebrity. By the way, Celebrity Cruises, we need to do a Celebrity Cruise show coming up because Celebrity Cruises has completely changed the way they're positioned with going all inclusive or at least more inclusive, kind of
And
matching what
female
Norwegians
captains. Woo woo.
Captain Kate. But anyhow, yeah, we should do a Celebrity Cruises show. But wanted to let you know that so Celebrity does have some stuff. Millennium is going to be doing what do you call it? Cruises out of out of Florida going to the Bahamas on 4 days and 5 days for significantly more than that Norwegian one that we did last year. But it's also a much fancier cruise line. But they also
Yeah, I was
have
going to say that's a little bit, it's a step above, or maybe two steps above.
but they definitely have other stuff that looks great. It looks like
Not just the Norwegian. It's just, you have your baseline. I don't want to say baseline, but your, regular family ones, and then you have different tiers as you go up.
yeah. But you got Edge, Millennium, Reflection. Celebrity's got a bunch of ships in the Caribbean. If you're looking for something a little bit more upscale, then Royal Caribbean has some really inexpensive ones. I thought, for instance, you can do there's a whole bunch of them anyhow, but it looks like you've got some cruises, like 4-day cruises out of Galveston, that are like 400 bucks for Thanksgiving. And it's interesting because one of the things you should be aware of is that, like any holiday cruises, the cruises are going to be more expensive on holidays than they would be at the same route, even a week before, a week after. So, for instance, that one was starting at roughly $410, I think it was, but a week earlier, it was only $270. But still, that's still 100, starting at $100 per person per day, for getting everything you're getting. I think is a great opportunity. So my point here is that while certainly people who are in the Northeast, that Norwegian Gem cruise would be phenomenal, sailing out of New York and escaping the cold winter weather for a few days. There are plenty of options both in the West Coast and in the warmer weather climates that are really affordable, and certainly a great option if you're looking to simply spend a Thanksgiving at sea. And it's something that you shouldn't be afraid of, because when you add up the cost and add up the time savings, really how much is the value of being able to spend time together, especially next year. This year, most of us will be celebrating virtually. I know Heather and I have a couple different virtual Thanksgiving Zoom meeting type things set up with the family members. Uh, that's fun, but it sucks. Next year, let's look at ways we can be together, and it's really more important than just driving somewhere.
Okay, so think about this. All the money you spend on Thanksgiving Day, the food, the wine, the decorations, or, cleaning your house to make it immaculate. Think about all that, put that in perspective. Now, think about taking that away and putting that towards a cruise. Yay! Life is so much easier because, if you haven't made Thanksgiving dinner, you don't realize how expensive it is to get everything. And also, time is money. So think about it that way.
I agree. Time is money, and if you're flying somewhere already to be, so for instance, if I was going to fly to, if we were going to fly to Toledo, Ohio, we're going to spend, I don't know what, at least $400, just on airfare alone. So why not just spend that per person? Why don't we spend that money flying to Miami instead, to be with, have everybody fly down there or something like that. So either way, don't be afraid of Thanksgiving on a cruise ship. If you were wondering about, like, oh, I don't want to be on a cruise ship with a bunch of kids, I didn't find that one was any worse than any normal cruise. Um, and so I think it's something that is going to vary from cruise to cruise. But considering that was a cheap cruise out of Miami, it should have been absolutely mobbed with kids, and it wasn't. So your
The
mileage may vary.
interesting, sorry to interrupt you again, but the interesting part is that I've been on many cruises right around holidays, but I've been on two cruises during holidays: the Thanksgiving cruise and an Easter cruise, slash spring break. It started Easter Day and went on. The kids and parents you found on these cruises were totally different than the people. Than I don't know if it's a holiday, so they're paying more attention to their kids, but the one we left out of New Orleans, and you would think, oh my God, there was a lot of college students, but everyone was respectful. That could be because it's a Southern thing too. But even the people with the kids, there was no issues. I don't know if holidays just bring a different type of cruiser out who watches their children. Now, I don't want to make it, down cruisers with children who just let them go. It's not all like that. But some of those people do make you hear you. They do have a stereotype of that, and people will come back and talk about that. So if you do have kids, even teenagers, keep an eye out on them. Let's have everyone's experience be a great one. But yeah, for some reason, holidays, everyone's acting great. I don't didn't have even adults. They don't seem to act out on holidays. Maybe because the whole family's together, there's extra people, but maybe people just want to act out at home during holidays and have fights with their family members. But when they are on a cruise ship, they're like just happy because what? You got to be happy on a cruise ship.
Yep. So with that being said, I think probably we're almost at an hour. We should probably just wrap things up. I really appreciate everyone
Sorry, I
tuning in. I know this has
gotta
been a kind of a
go.
chaotic show, but that's kind of what you get sometimes when you're hanging out with James and Heather. Uh, but anyhow, if you guys are interested in booking a cruise or even just having questions, I mean, uh, I'm laughing because I can hear Heather's laughter, even though she has her microphone off. But anyhow, go. You can contact her by going to flowvoyages.com and just ask her some questions or comment on this feed, and we'll try to answer any questions you might have as well. So if Heather doesn't have anything more to say, I'm going to hit the end broadcast button. And thanks, guys, for watching.
Yeah, thank you guys. Actually, through talking through this conversation, I am feeling more hopeful. So that's good. Sometimes you just need to talk things out, right? And it improves your mood. So thank you all. And we'll see you after Thanksgiving. Have a great Thanksgiving. Spend time with your family, or don't if the family doesn't live with you. Stay away. But enjoy, eat, and laugh. And yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Bye.